So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right. And we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them. There is no ban on, they had the Muslim ban. There is.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
What do you mean?
Check it out. Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man, look retarded, act retarded, not retarded. Count two picks, cheated cards. Autistic, sure, not retarded. You got Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Slow, yes, retarded maybe, braces on his legs, but he charmed the pants off next to him and he won a ping pong competition. That ain't retarded. He was a goddamn war hero. Right. You know any retarded war heroes? You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Hello everyone, welcome to NeoUnrealist. It's been a while since I've had to do a video involving CNN's Don Lemon. If you've seen the past week of coverage on CNN, you would have probably noticed a certain recurring theme. A non-stop, constant drumbeat of how Donald Trump and his merry band of white men are terrorizing the United States. Now, never mind that of the two incidents that got this latest round of CNN talking heads bashing the orange man and white men in general, that it was perpetrated by a Native American Indian living out of what used to be an ice cream truck. The shooting in the Pittsburgh synagogue has provided the latest opportunity for Lemon to make a complete fool of himself, as you heard for yourself in that audio clip. We have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men. Stop. Stop. Hold it right there. Don Lemon didn't even make it to the end of the very sentence where he called for the collective we, which one presumes would include him, to stop demonizing people, before he himself proceeded to demonize an entire class of people, white men. This has to be some kind of record. Full cognitive dissonance achieved, managing to contradict himself in the same sentence. Congratulations, Mr. Lemon. You are now the new master of Doublespeak. This reminds me so much of how after every terrorist attack carried out by a Muslim, we get an endless litany of hashtag not all Muslims. There must not be any backlash against Muslims for the actions of a few, blah, 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 etc., etc. Never mind the fact that Islam is not an immutable characteristic. I mean, it's not a race, a sex, or even something as ephemeral as a sexual orientation. Islam is an ideology, a collection of thoughts which, like all modes of thought, is supposed to be open to criticism and analysis, as much as, say, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Zoroastrianism, Neo-paganism, Scientology, communism, fascism, or any body of ideas, Stoicism. I mean, race is an immutable characteristic that, Elizabeth Warren, Rachel Dolezal, and Sean Talcum X King aside, you can't really do anything to change. So here is Don Lemon, usually among the first to do backflips and twist himself into a pretzel to avoid any hint of casting aspersions on the larger Muslim population whenever there is a terrorist attack, in essence preventing any real examination or rejection of the collection of ideas that fuel such attacks, applying the thing which he said is wrong, it's wrong to do, to a racial group. Something with no underlying thought process or ideology attached to it. Think about it. There's more diversity of thought. In terms of, we're talking about politics here, among white people in America than any other racial group. This is a documented fact. And where is this apparent? You get proof of it every 2 years in these little things called elections. Let's just look at the demographic breakdown of the votes by racial and ethnic groups. Non-Hispanic whites voted for Trump over Clinton in 2016 by 58% to 37%. Now, compare that to black voters who went for Hillary Clinton 88% to 8%. And as bad as that sounds, it was pretty good, as far as recent Republican candidates go. Obama won black voters by a 93 to 6% edge over Romney in 2012, after scoring 91% against the saint of the left, John McCain, in 2008. Latino voters voted for Hillary Clinton at a 65% rate in 2016, which falls in line with the usual roughly 2-to-1 ratio that that group of voters tends to split Democrat versus Republican. So Hispanics are not quite monolithic as the black or Jewish vote, where Jews voted 71% for Hillary in 2016, but not as evenly divided as, say, white voters are between the two major political parties. So essentially what we have among the major racial and ethnic groups that make up America is a consistent trend that 2016 was representative of. Black voters vote in total lockstep, averaging roughly 90% Democrat. Jewish voters, slightly less monolithic, but still ranging in the 70s in terms of percentages. They went 78% for Obama in 2008. Then, and this really has to worry Democrats, you have the Hispanic or Latino vote, which it is the fastest growing population. They're not trending the way they'd prefer. Hillary getting 65% of the Latino vote is actually down from Obama's numbers, which were in the 70s. And don't forget that George Bush, as recently as 2004, got 40% of the Hispanic vote. It appears that while they're not as evenly split as the non-Hispanic white vote, as time goes on, it seems like their vote is becoming less and less reliable for Democrats. And certainly not at the ratio they'd need if Democrats are going to continue to alienate white voters at the rate they are. Because if that number with Hispanics dips any lower into the low 60s or worse, the high 50s, Republicans wouldn't only win elections, they'd get blowouts like in 2004. That's stuff for another video. The point I'm making is that, of the racial groups tracked in U.S. election polls, the only group that you could even hope to compare to white voters in terms of being somewhat evenly split, where the majority, winds up only in the 50th percentile, is whites. Maybe Hispanics, and this is a big if their numbers continue trending downward in regard to voting for Democrats. But right now, in 2018, that's where it's at. So where is Don Lemon getting this, what are we going to do about white men nonsense? It's ridiculous. Whites make up the overwhelming majority of people in the country currently. Over 61% of the population is comprised of people who identify as non-Hispanic whites. Now, when examining any phenomenon so rare and infrequent as terrorist attacks, in the United States anyway, one would certainly expect that the majority of these black swan events would be committed by white perpetrators. Human beings being what they are, there's a certain base level of criminality that happens in all societies, even the most orderly and relatively violent crime-free societies, places like Japan or Switzerland. So, what I'll do is I'll use the most far left-wing source that you can come up with even, The Nation Institute. It's associated with the far left The Nation magazine. In a 2017 report, they found between the years of 2008 and 2016, there were 115 incidents of right-wing terrorism. This includes attacks that were foiled and therefore the attack never happened. So an incident can be either an attack or a planned attack that was prevented. So 115 incidents of right-wing associated terrorism, 63 Islamist-inspired terrorist incidents, and 19 incidents of left-wing associated terrorism. So let me get Don Lemon straight. Let's assume that all the right-wing and the left-wing terrorist incidents cited by the Nation, and let's remember the bias of the source, I'm just using it to show that even the most left-wing biased sources' numbers will support what I'm saying. If we attribute all the right and left-wing terrorism to non-Hispanic whites, we have 134 total incidents attributable to 61% of the population. The other 63 incidents, which are Islamic terrorism, about half the total of the so-called white terror was perpetrated by 0.8% of the population. So with finite government resources to go after terrorism, only so many FBI agents and local and state police, Don Lemon thinks it would be a better allocation of resources to focus, their efforts on a population of over 200 million people, more or less having to watch almost everybody. But let's be generous and say 100 million people, since he specifically cited white men. We'll cut that number in half. Or deal with the 0.8% of the population, who is by the Nation's own numbers 76 times more likely to commit an act of terrorism. At that rate, if Muslims represented 61% of the U.S. population, as non-Hispanic whites currently do, they'd account for 4,803 terrorist incidents and 6,862 deaths in that same time frame. Either Don Lemon is bad at math and statistics, or he's just plain lying to you. Or maybe he should just take Kirk Lazarus' advice.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
That's all for this New Unrealist. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to keep up with new content. Follow the Patreon or PayPal links to support the channel in this time of YouTube demonetization, or just use the tip pledge button if you're watching this on BitChute. Thanks for watching.